Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the Carbootcrafter, and it's countdown to Halloween. So I picked this up at my local Tesco's a couple of days ago, and you've got 4 projects in it. So you make 3 of these kinetic sit-up coffins, and there's also this project as well, which is a pop-up bat disguised as a pumpkin head. I haven't even touched that one yet because it looks a bit more complicated than the rest. But I've had a go at a couple of these, and I thought it would be fun to come on and show you how I've put them together. And if you wanted to have a go, some maybe live hints and tips on doing that. So in the pack you get, let me show you the coffins first. These are fun. So you've got your coffin, and then you open it, and as you pull it open, the vampire sits up, which I think is such fun. So there's that one, then there's this one as well, and she sits up, and the other one is the Dracula one. So you get all your instructions, which I'll pop to the one side because I'll still need them. You even get, look, isn't that cute, a background to go with your scene, your coffins. So I'll pop that away because I'm going to use that on the side and put up a kind of Halloween display. So that's the one for the pop-up bat, and I may come back on and do that, but it looks a bit more complicated than this one. So you get 3 sheets, and each sheet is one of your coffins. So this is the Dracula one. I've already taken it out and pre-scored it because I'm recording on my phone and I get 33 minutes and that's it, and I don't want to go over. So I'll pop that to one side and then we'll make a start. One of the tips I would say is it says CG CE on this one, and then when you've got your instructions it will say, so that says AE, ignore the A, it's whatever sheet you're working on. So this sheet where it says AE, on this sheet it says CE. So you're just looking for one piece at a time. I guess it's if you'd pull them all out together, but I worked on them one sheet at a time and I didn't have to worry too much. So the first piece you're going to work on is this one, which is E. So make sure you crease and fold, and I use my bone folder to do that because some of the creases you'll need them really well reinforced. And all you're going to do is glue these 2 stars together, so you've got a piece that sits up. So I'm just going to grab my glue. I'm using some tacky glue. It does actually say on the instructions to use double-sided tape, but I will say that some of the tabs and some of the bits that you have to glue together are really small and fiddly. So you want to create that. Now I've found having some pegs to hand really helps. You don't want that flap to glue down, just those 2 pieces there. So having some of these little pegs has really helped me. So I can pop that to one side and move on to the next bit. So I'll pop that there to dry. So the next piece that you want is F, which is the outside of the coffin. So make sure that you get your bone folder and make sure you crease it all, and that's what we're looking for, that shape. But before we do that, bring this back in, and hopefully my tacky glue has held that. So while that was drying I would have been scoring that, but I've already done it because you don't need to watch me doing it. Now on here, and it does tell you in the instructions, on here you've got 2 little white lines and you need to snip those off and create an almost triangle. So just snip them off. They've gone flying somewhere. So you end up with a piece that looks like that. So on the same on the other side, quick snip, get rid of that and that one, and you end up with that. Now this piece now has to be glued onto here on that piece. It's got some really good help on here. So you've got your arrows and you've got your numbers. So if I look on this piece, it says number 1 and the arrow is there. Make sure that your arrows are pointing the same way. So if I want to glue them together, I don't want to glue them so they're facing opposite. I want to make sure when I turn it over that my arrows are pointing upwards. So that's what I'm going to do now, is glue that onto there. So as I said, all the way through this project, all you really need to do is to look out for the same number and the arrows. So again, making sure that when I put that down, the arrows are facing the same way. So just gluing it on there and making sure it doesn't go any further up. It shouldn't, because you've got those pieces there, but there you go. And I'm just going to pop a peg on there. The next thing that we need to do is, if you look on the back side of it, you've got 2A, 2B, 2C, and you've got it corresponding here. So you've got 2A, 2B, 2C. So that then tells me, and the instructions tell me, that I have to now fold that over like that and glue the whole thing down. So I'm going to grab my bone folder, because I didn't fold that piece in earlier, so I'll do that now. And then I'm going to put glue all the way down so that those all glue onto this side. It's really good, but I did find that some pieces are very fiddly, and sometimes the instructions don't really tell you where you're going with it. So there we go, just bring that over. Now I'm going to bring my pegs back in to hold that in place while it dries. This glue, it's from Jelly Bean, doesn't take very long at all. In fact, a couple of minutes of having good contact and that'll be dry. So I'll put that to one side and leave that for now. And I'm now going to be now one thing I will tell you is that the next step on this is it tells you to glue those together to form the sleeve for your coffin. It's this bit here, this bit. What I found is, so this was the first one I did, it's very tight to close it, and I've had to squash that a little bit. So what I did was, with the second one, is I waited until, no, it's the other way around. This was the first one. So I can't close that, it won't go any further. Whereas this one, I waited and then did it afterwards. It's helped a little bit, but they don't close completely. So I skipped that out with my second one. Don't glue that down just yet. Then we want to move on to the head. So that's B. So ignore the C, we want B. Make sure you've scored those really, really well. And what I found was, if you've got dexterity problems, this is going to be really challenging. But I have found that doing it all in one go, which sounds a bit daunting, but it did work best with this piece. So again, you've got your corresponding numbers. So there's tab number 14. And if I look on that side, there's 14 on the inside, which tells me that that tab has to glue underneath there to form that. And that's what you're going to do. You're just going to go around and glue all those tabs together, which is why I found it a bit easier to sort of glue several of the tabs together. A bit too much glue on that one. And do them together like that. So I'm just going to fold that over. Make sure that those corners are all nice and flush, and hold it in place like that. And while that's catching, I'm moving on to the next ones, which are 11 and 12 at that end. So again, folding those over, gluing those down. Now I'm not far too much on there, sorry, that's coming out too quickly. So those will need to glue onto there like that. Now you can at that stage just hold them down, but I found that just carrying on with it works, because it kind of holds its own shape once it's in shape. I'll show you when we get there. So I'm just going to carry on putting glue on these tabs all the way around. So, and there's quite a few of them because we're almost forming a box here. So we're going to ignore where it says 10 because that comes in later on. We'll glue on 21. We'll come round to this side and do exactly the same on all of these. Like I say, it's very fiddly, and try not to put too much glue on because then it takes longer to stick, doesn't it? So there we go. So I've got all my tabs done. I'm going to fold that in, and then we sort of roll that end, roll it over, tuck all those tabs in. These two go inside there at the end, bring that piece across and tuck in. This is tab number 21, that gets tucked in there. So now you can see what I mean when I say it's sort of like a box. So that's the head created. I'm just going to grab a pokey tool and pull that piece out ever so slightly on there. That's gone in a bit too far. There we go. That one's not gone in quite far enough, so I'll pinch it. That one's gone in as well. That one's, it takes a little bit of fiddling, but this is why I found trying to do it one tab at a time just really wasn't working, especially, you know. And now I can just hold it like that, and all my tabs should be in contact with the relevant places and should dry fairly quickly. So I can pop the lid back on there. Like I say, if you've got dexterity issues, it's probably not a very good project for you. But there's the head done. I'm going to pop that there to finish drying as we move on to the next piece. Now the next piece is D, which is this piece. It's the part of the body. Again, you've got to fold and score, and all of them go inwards apart from this one at the bottom here, just above the number 6. That is a valley, whereas all the others are mountains. Now this one, we start off by gluing these two that come across like that. We're forming another box. So this is part of the body. Okay, so we'll go to there. And again, you've got number 5 there and number 5 over here, number 4 there and number 4 on that side. So we know we have to fold this over, roll it over, and that's where they're going to stick. So if I hold that back a little bit, you can see that we've got these pieces that stick out on the side. Don't worry about those, that's exactly what they should do. Right, while that's grabbing, I'm just going to get my bone folder. I like this bone folder because it's got a really nice 90-degree angle there, so that when I push it inside, I can really get into that corner and reinforce them. So that's the one side. Let's get into the other. Really push that glue into the card like that. Now the most confusing part of this was the next stage. So as that's grabbing, what you now have to do is glue these two 6s together, which isn't very clear on how you do it on the paper until I worked out what you're doing is you're covering over the top of that box. So if what you need to do is just bring it across like that. So you're bringing it over, and it's only the top part here that will stick onto the corresponding number 6 on the other side. So I'm only gluing the top half of that. So a little bit of glue across there. Tuck that across like that. Pinch it, because we then want to bring our number 7, and as you can see we've got number 7 and again number 7 there. That's going to come across and glue there. I'm doing it while it's still a little bit wet on the number 6, because you need it to square off. So I'm bringing that across, and I want to square it off on that corner, because otherwise if it goes a bit skewy, it's not going to work properly. So we need to square it off. And then I found popping it down on my mat and reinforcing there really helped to square everything off and get that glue starting to grab there, and both on number 6 and number 7. So again, pushing it all down, reinforcing it, and there you go. Now you can leave it to dry, or as I'm going to do, move on to the next step. So on the back of these you'll see that we have number 10 on both, and we need these arrows. At the moment they're facing the right way, but if I was to turn that over and glue them together, arrows would be pointing in different directions, to, you know, like that. So we need to, and there's always a clue on the front, that's the front. So make sure that we glue that number 10 on top of there, so that the face is pointing the same way as the chest on there. So a bit of glue. I always put the glue on this one, because you'll probably notice that this side is smaller than the base of the head on there. So I'm lining up the base, the back of the head with the base, so that's nice and straight. There's very little I can do to push that down, but I'm going to put that to one side and let that glue. Okay, now we've done that, we have to move on to the main part of the inside of the coffin. Again, pull it all together and glue it. You'll start off with these 2 little tabs at the top, at the narrow end of the coffin. Now I found gluing on these 2, but also gluing this one at the top, doing it all together works. So again, you can see 28 on there, number 28 on there. You've got 29 on there, and then 29 this side of the crease, which tells me that that just folds over like that. But do the tabs first on either side of the coffin, because then 29 can come down and help hold them tabs in place. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm bringing my coffin together like that, bring the back of it up, and then I'm going to push those tabs onto there like that, so they make contact, and then I'm going to fold that over so it encapsulates this tab. So this is one side and this tab's the other. So bring that over. It's a bit fiddly, but it helps you with the lining up of it as well. So pop that in like that. Bring my bone folder in. Make sure we get plenty of contact with the glue and the card, and you're reinforcing that fold as well. Then I'm going to take back my pegs, because that is well and truly glued on the inside of there now, and these then will help hold that in place, like that. And then I can move on to the back. Don't be tempted to glue that inside like that. You'll notice on this one that there is no corresponding number to 26 and to 25. but they come in at the back of the coffin like that. We'll be hiding those workings because this is the part of the coffin that will be on show. So what we're going to do first is bring in C, and when you turn over C, you will notice those numbers are on there. So there's 26 and there's 26 there. So what we need to do is glue number 8 on there like that. Do it before you start folding, it's a little bit easier. So I'm just going to put glue all the way across here. What I found again with this one is putting glue on the tabs either side as well just helps hold everything together if you do it all in one. So bring this together, making sure that when you do put them together like that, that this part is above. So what I'm going to do is, sorry, just having a coffee delivered, fold that over like that so that you can then line up this edge with that fold. There we go. And that lines that up really well. Then, holding it in place, open that up and bring these in, and these help to keep that fold stable like that. You can pop it on your desk and use your bone folder. I'll take these off now because that will be dry or near enough. Take your bone folder and reinforce that. So that's what you've got now. Okay, now this is the fiddliest part. We've got to create the top of the coffin, that shape at the top there. Now again, the easiest thing I've found is, because we've already done our score, is to put some glue on that part and that part because they tuck into each other. So I'm just going to put glue on all 6 tabs, just a little bit like that. I am rushing it a little bit. I did take more time, should I say, on the others. Now what we need to do is, I start on the side, move to the other side and then do the middle. We need to push this into that little hole there, which, like I say, is the fiddliest part of the whole project. But oh, maybe I'm getting used to doing it. Maybe I'm getting a knack. Right, let's do that again. Push that in to that little slot in there. Oh, spoke too soon. Of course I did. And of course that one's come undone as well. So we need to push them in. There we go. There's that one. I'm going to try and hold that while I do this one, and then I'll move on to the top one. Like I said, this is the fiddliest part, which is why I keep the top one till last, because I can get my fingers in on the side one. So those are both done, and then the last one, I might give that actually a minute to dry and then come back to that. So I'll pop that to one side. Now this is the point where, no, I'm not going to do that just yet. I've still got this piece to do. So this is my final piece. Let me put the instructions over just to remind me. So this piece now I've got to glue together. Now it takes on that shape. So we've got sort of triangle there, and then we've got this piece here. So 23 onto 23, nice and easy to do, to remember. And get the glue to come out. There we go, 23 onto 23, fold that over. Very, very simple. This one, because you can't get into it, I use a pencil or a narrow poker tool or something just to kind of push those together like that. There we go. And then on the bottom of this one, now it's dry, you can see I've got two 24s, making sure the arrows are pointing the same way. So I'm going to glue those together as well. So I'm going to pop the glue on this stripe here, all the way across, and then making sure those arrows are pointing the right way, pop that on there like that. I'm going to have to hold that for a minute while it glues in place, just for it to grab and hold that like that. And this is the mechanism that helps to stand up. So the main part of it, and then the other half is these pieces on here. So typical, it's not gluing for me at the moment as we hit the final part. So just going to hold that for a moment more. Put a little, it's slipped, that's why. Need it at the front. I'm going to put a couple of pieces of pegs on there just to hold it while that piece dries for me. I'm just going to grab the pencil because that's a little bit like that. So what you want it to do is you want to have, that's a hinge. So you want to be able to hinge like that. Okay, while that's drying, I'm just going to put that last piece in. Hopefully that glue is really ready to grab on there. Get in. Like I say, this is the part of the fiddliest part, is the last bit, getting it together. Oh, come on. Of course it's not going to work for me now. The other one have worked fine. There we go. There we go. So that is now all complete. Now what we want to do is our last piece of, almost last piece of gluing. So on the bottom there we've got 30, and inside the coffin it says 30. So we need to sit our vampire in the coffin so that those two join together. So I'm just going, again, take notice of those arrows. They tell you which direction, but you've got lots of other visual clues because your vampire needs to be facing upwards. And make sure that you push this edge right the way into that corner. It really will help with getting your vampire mechanism to work properly. So I'm just going to give that a minute, push from the back so that that glues in. So I'm going to light the vamp. Oh, not quite grabbed yet. Give that a moment. To do that, and then we're going to wrap our coffin round. And I've, like I say, I found it easier to do it this way because it also means that getting the mechanism, these pieces, over this is easier this way as well. So that seems to have grabbed, not quite dry yet, but it's grabbed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully lay that over the top of my vampire and wrap it around the coffin, and then I am going to glue that tab, being very careful not to go onto the coffin beneath. So, and like I said, this was I think it was about £2.50 from my local Tesco's, and I thought it's a great project and something for us to keep as well for Halloween. So I'm just going to get my bone folder and again push that in like that. It just means that I can get it to close better doing it this way. There is an ever such a slight gap there. If I'd have closed that up, I would have had some issues with getting my coffin to slide in and out. So once that's glued, I'm just going to test the mechanism. I don't want to pull it too much in case it opens again, so bring that down, and yes, my vampire he sits up. So now I have 3 vampires that will sit up when we open the coffin, and I think that is just an adorable display for Halloween. I bring in my scene as well, and there we have our vampire. Oh, put it the right way, Teresa. There we have our vampire scene. Move that out the way, and I just think that is such fun. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do go and have a look, and if you do make them, let me know, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.